Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. What episode are we on? 212. 212. I don't have notes, so I don't know that. I'm Ryan Shrout. We have a distinguished, mostly distinguished to be soon, a panel with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And I'm Steve Griever.
Steve is not our normal fourth guy. Jeremy, I don't know, he still lives in Canada. They don't let him
out much
down here, so...
Yeah.
This is also, as we were talking about before the show actually got up and running, this is our first time doing this ourselves, recording it. Obviously, we're not on the Twit network anymore. All the downloads and all that kind of stuff remain the same. You don't have to change your RSS feeds. You don't have to go someplace else on YouTube to see the video. We still have all of that. But we are, I guess, live at QuakeCon 2012.
We are.
Mostly.
Yep.
This is not the most exciting room of QuakeCon. We're in a conference room somewhere inside, although that's kind of cool, right? He just switched to the shot. This is all the stuff that we're going to give away tomorrow, Saturday, at our workshop. It's at 2 p.m. Central Time, so if you're at QuakeCon or in the Dallas area, you should definitely stop by and see that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, did we have a podcast last week? A normal one. So let's see what news items kind of cropped up between now and then. Anything interesting? We saw more 660 Ti leaks, one kind of large one.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that card, Josh?
It's all going to depend on what price it comes out at. I don't think that they leaked that information. I mean, they might have, but apparently it performs very, very close to the GTX 670, which makes sense because it's still based on the GK 104 chip. They've disabled a couple of more. What are they called? SMX units? Is that what they're called now?
So according to the rumors, it's still 1344, which would be the same as the GTX 670.
But it's a 192-bit memory bus, and it seems
I've
like...
heard.
Well, you've heard.
I've heard.
You've heard.
I don't know for sure, of course.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But it sounds like it's going to be an interesting product, but it depends on how much they're going to charge for it. And I think we're going to see AMD again react with dropping the prices on the 7850 and the 7870, which if you tuned in a couple of podcasts ago when I talked about that MSI product, the Hawk, that's going to be a lot more affordable here pretty quickly from what I understand.
So if you saw the performance of the 660 Ti rumored, compared to the other cards, what would they have to sell it at in your mind for it to be a successful part?
Gosh, I guess anywhere around 330 and above.
Okay.
330, 350, I guess.
Because the performance is relatively close to the 670.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that if all that pans out, right, you've got the same shader count, higher clock speeds, less memory bus, but the same amount of memory and the same memory speed as well. And it's... I can't imagine that taking away 64 bits of memory bandwidth,
Yeah, but how close is the 670 to the 680? And we've got a $100 difference between those two.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not going to tell you who posted that, but if you search around, it won't be hard to find that. Do we have any other reviews go up this week that we want to talk about? The Nexus 7 review, I think we talked about that last week. Didn't we?
I think so.
Close enough. Matt Smith posted a review of that. If you did not see it, check it out. Also, Tim Berry posted an interesting article looking about cable cards and tuners and that kind of deal. So kind of on the home theater PC kick we've been on. Recently, ThinkPad X230 review, one of the laptops I was interested in. Matt posted that. Let's just talk about QuakeCon for a little bit because this is what's going on. We got here yesterday. QuakeCon is in Dallas, Texas. I don't know if they call it the largest anymore. I think they can call it one of the largest LAN parties in North America. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's still one of the largest.
And it's free as
for the
well,
most part,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's free. Yeah. It's free, but there are 4 pay upgrades that allow you to kind of like skip the lines, reserve a seat, those types of things. And what has happened, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on whose opinion you follow there, is that more and more people are doing that. They're paying the $30 to reserve their seat, which means less and less of the people that would just typically show up on Friday, bring their system, find a seat, and be able to game for Friday and Saturday the whole time. We had some issues with maybe some of those people getting turned away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still a great event. It's definitely been commercialized in the last 5 years or so, since the Bethesda buyout of id. They've decided to use QuakeCon as a pitch point for all of Bethesda
Showcase.
games. Yeah, they showed Skyrim a couple of years ago. They talked about the DLC last year a little bit. They're showing Dishonored here.
They released the Dawn Guard DLC for Skyrim.
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Keynote. Yeah, at the beginning of the event, which is cool. I was excited, but I'm here, so I don't get to go home and play it.
No.
Disappointing. So other than those, before we get to Carmack, which we could take up the rest of the podcast.
Pretty much.
Yep.
What else did they announce or show anything or do anything like at the keynote before Carmack came out, other than release Dawn Guard or announced?
There wasn't a whole lot.
No, I mean, it was Hollenshed got up there and talked for a little bit. If I had my notes in front of me, I think he announced one thing. And I'm trying to think what the heck it was, and it wasn't anything really exciting. He just went over what the schedule's going to be.
Wasn't it that BFG edition?
Yeah, BFG edition was one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was one of the things.
Yeah,
announced.
it's going to be released at around the same time as Windows 8. So what, October?
Yeah, Doom 3 BFG edition, and then they had the trailer video, and then that's just led straight into Carmack.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about Carmack.
Oh
Yep.
gosh, do I have to?
Yeah, we have to. He was sick, so we thought, well, maybe it won't be as long of an exposition as last time, but that's definitely not the case.
No, it started at 4:30, and it said, okay, we're going to go for about 2 hours here. And next thing you know, it's approaching 7:30, and yeah, it was a long thing.
Okay, but he said interesting things. So he started off. What I thought was most interesting was
He apologized about Rage.
yeah, he apologized, and I think most people would agree very candidly, in a way that most other developers would not maybe come out and do. Right? They basically said, "Yeah, we totally screwed that up."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't totally screw it up, but he said, we apologize because we screwed it up for about half of the people who bought it, which is, it's not everybody, but
Yeah,
it's a healthy chunk.
I mean, they could have come out and any other company might think they turn it into some kind of like trying to push blame off on other things, anything. No, he just walked up there. He basically just took ownership.
And what's interesting about that is, it as a whole tends to be somewhat like that.
Yeah.
But I think, it's only because he has so much clout in the industry and that he's obviously the co-founder of it that they let him kind of come up. They probably said, "Hey, John, maybe you don't go up there and say that," and he was like, "No,
but I want to."
but I want to. I founded this company, and I'm just going to say it."
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
Yeah. So.
And not only that, but that'll have it probably is going to have a positive aspect and repercussions on their next release, because people thought, hey, they admitted these mistakes, they said they're working on it, they had the cojones to get up there and say this. Maybe I'm going to trust them a little bit more with this next one and not think that they're going to be, screwing the pooch.
Yeah, I think that, and that's why with hardware companies, software companies, whatever, it kind of makes sense. Honesty maybe stings a little bit more at the beginning, but I think in the long run it will give you better fans.
I think that's
and
correct.
I think that's what they saw there. He talked about VR headsets a lot, and that's kind of newsworthy to discuss. Is it called Oculus? I guess is the company.
Yeah.
It started a Kickstarter. Will you see what their value is up to?
Yeah,
now?
It's
During-
over 1.1 million.
Carmack was still talking, and it passed 1 million, I believe.
So Oculus is if you I think we talked about it on the podcast earlier, but during E3, Carmack had this kind of home built. It had some duct tape on it, VR glass simulation, right? It used Oakley goggle bands and that kind of stuff. So, and he's like, I just kind of built this, right? I found the best technology that was modestly priced and built this. And he talked about at E3 how, he's going to help this company. He was going to try to promote this company and, to make this idea mainstream. And for those people who don't really understand it, the VR headset is something that attaches to your face. It's not a screen. It's two screens, one for each eye, that essentially looks like a pair of giant goggles. You get stereoscopic 3D because of the two-screen effect, and It has gyroscopes and that kind of stuff in
Well,
it.
it's head tracking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's it using to do that?
Uh,
Gyroscopes,
A really high sample rate, like solid state gyro.
Okay. And so when you look up, the camera angle looks up. When you look down, the camera angle looks down, left and right, and so forth. And so
Yep.
you have this freedom in a game that you don't really have, right? We're not yet to the point where you're in the metal cage ball that you can then run forward and
Yeah.
it translates that or anything. But it's a really cool effect. And Oculus started a Kickstarter to kind of commercialize that technology and the kind of the technology that he was showcasing. And it was, I think it's actually a really good price for $300. You get the developer kit, which is a copy of Doom 3 BFG, which Carmack has coded to take advantage of Oculus, and the head unit, right? And obviously the drivers and stuff necessary to make it work. And while $300 is not throwaway money, for something that's the first of its kind that's going to be commercialized, I think that's actually really awesome.
Yeah, and if we kind of take a look back and see at the end of Rage, and they were shipping it, Carmack just kind of went on his own. I mean, he likes to take projects now and then that, he wants to do.
When we interviewed him last year, it was right after Rage was finished and he was done, and we were like, well, what are you going to do next? And he's like, I've always wanted to look at head-mounted displays, so I'm thinking about that. And here we are, exactly a year later.
Yeah.
And there's one it's not on the market, but it's pretty close, and he dedicates hours to his talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, and he has worked on this nonstop for
Right.
a year. I mean, literally. And I'd read his Twitter feed, and he'd talk about issues that he's run into, things like that. He would talk to other people around the industry about what they've done. And I guess, last spring is when he got upon this, this head-mounted display VR site that has a forum, and that's where he met the Oculus guys.
Right.
And he had kind of already built his own, but they had developed kind of their own build-it-yourself kit initially. And so, it sounds like that they finally, whether he helped them or not, or especially with the software and the tracking type stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure with a lot of it.
Yeah, that they now have a commercial product that originally it was going to come out over $500, but the guy really dug deep, found some good deals, worked with a couple of the bigger companies, and he got this around $300.
So they actually have a booth set up in the exhibitor area, right, Steve? Are they actually giving demos there, or are they just talking to people?
On
No,
Saturday they'll give a demo. Sorry,
well,
Steve.
well, actually, I just walked through earlier, and they are actually demoing a couple models. So we took some photos.
So
and
if you're just here for QuakeCon, you could go get in line and try the stuff out.
yeah, there
That's
was a
awesome.
line. Yep.
I mean, and again, this is, I don't want to harp on it too much, but it's very much like the open model that Carmack just inherently believes in, right? He pushes to release source code. He pushes to admit the wrongdoing on stage. He pushes to let's let people try this. Let's get booth space at E3 and only really show off somebody else's technology, right? I mean, it's not going to make any money off of this. They're giving away copies of Doom 3 BFG with the Oculus, and I think that's part of him trying to promote the technology and get people to use it. So, I would imagine if Oculus as a company just kind of started and went out and tried to get people interested in it, nobody would really be paying attention to them.
Yep.
And instead, you have one of the just preeminent people of the industry saying, "Yeah, let's do that." And then if you look at the Kickstarter page, there's quotes from Gabe Newell saying, "Yeah, I would encourage anybody to donate to this Kickstarter." And who else? Epic as well is behind it. So if you've got Valve, Epic, and id behind the technology, that's not everybody, but it's like the big name PC guys.
Yeah, when you get big name game developers standing behind anything like this, then that's the kind of thing that, yes, someone's going to spend $300 on that if they're that serious of a gamer that they know that, okay, these companies, their next game, or maybe even some of their prior games, are going to have support for this.
Yep.
Just built in. Because that's what you need. You can't just, this is not just going to be all-in-one.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Make sure that the software has to be specifically coded to take advantage of this. It's not like you can just turn on Battlefield 3 and all of a sudden it's going to work.
Yeah, and there are plenty of other things like this that have tried to launch, not this kind of like a headset thing, but other technologies that have tried to launch in previous years that...
You mean like 1990s, the Nintendo VR?
Stuff like that, right? Well,
Virtual Boy. Awesome.
That's
Virtual
right.
Boy.
Very awesome.
well, and if something like that comes out or anything similar since then. If you don't have game developers
Mhm.
right up front backing it, then it's pretty much a flop. It's dead on arrival. No one's going to buy the thing.
Steve, you were gonna say something?
Well, that brings up a good point. During his keynote, he was actually trying to manage expectations because, back, when he was first starting this, he mentioned, VR was terrible. It was, the technology was terrible, with, how people were trying to, use it, so that's why he's like, he wanted to make sure that this gets good backing, and now they're kind of getting to a point, like I said, even during his keynote, he was mentioning, hey, this is only going to be, something that you're going to need to know when you put these on. Hey, you can do some, horizontal, vertical, stuff. But he was mentioning, hey, if you try to look down and you try to jump and things, it's going to kind of mess with the, with the
sensor and
with the sensors, and with how the headset, works. So, it is still in its infancy, but I still think he knows it's on the right track and he wants to see if he can get it moved to the next level.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there that is just the hardware is just a limitation and just the sensors aren't designed for that and that sort of thing. But
Resolution's still kind of low
Resolution's
right
still
now,
low.
640 by 480 per
although-
eye, or
although-
640 by 800.
800, yeah.
that's right now. That's actually sort of a perk for what Carmack was going for primarily, like at least initially. He's going for super low latency, right? Because
Gotcha.
where he wants it to be is that sort of uncanny valley sort of place where the response is fast enough where you go to move your head and it actually can detect it and draw the next frame that actually reflects that you have moved your head enough to sort of trick you into thinking that, okay, this is like really VR,
This is
right?
reality, yeah.
You try to do something like that and you have, say 2 frames worth of lag and it's not believable anymore.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
We're still recording locally, but they can't see us. Edit.
Does it matter that about 5 minutes ago I saw the fan spin down in that box?
No, the computer's still running,
Yeah, I know.
and we're still recording. I can see the icon there. And is the
Hey, Matt.
stream? Is the stream?
Do me a favor. Just give me my backpack and give me that manila, the legal pad. My backpack. Would you want to take the black pack? Yeah.
You might have lost the internet link.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I had all my notes.
somebody's saying they see us on the chat.
They see us?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Oh, they refreshed. They refreshed and they see us.
okay. You think the server just hiccups?
Okay, so where were we?
Can you guys hear us?
Says mic 1 volume seems low
So when you're looking this way, you're talking into it.
and 1 is very loud.
Okay. All right. All
Okay.
right.
And
They can hear us. Awesome.
Steve needs to not talk and hold his mic so close.
Okay.
Don't stand so.
Oh yeah, and this is Josh Walrath with a cell phone.
Oh my! I had heard.
His
Oh.
first.
Traded in his pager and
His
he's
first.
good to go
Yeah,
now.
his VCR sized pager has been turned in.
Decommissioned.
So are we good?
See, they said Josh is perfect on there.
Tinker Toy Take, you take that back. Okay.
What's that?
You're on the LTE, the Verizon one. You could probably open chat on that and not affect anything, if you need to.
Okay.
Where were we?
So
Latency.
Latency, yes. You were saying that
Yeah.
that's a benefit.
That's-
640 by 800 resolution.
For now, yeah. It's the lower the.
I think towards the end of the talk, he did say like 1080p screens would probably be available by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And then you get into the are the upgraded sensors going to be there and all that kind of stuff too. So
Yep.
Yeah, and he was talking about the Razer, the 6 degree, that he took that apart and he actually used that. And because of the way that that's set up and it's got the little transmitter that tells you where it is, if you're just looking with your head up and down like that, it's easy to do. But if you do something like you
tilt your head
lean
down.
forward and then tilt
Yeah.
down, your body says you're doing one thing, but the VR sensor only thinks that that
Yeah.
that
It's only
single
reading.
pivot
Yeah, it's only
spot.
reading your head
So
still.
it's almost like current generations, like your body has to be very still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Like
assumes that your head is in one position.
Like if you're in a game and you're just a regular game and you're using your mouse as the pivot point, right? Well, the camera is sort of just like your eyeball is just like floating, right? It's just
Gotcha.
turning. Whereas when you actually look down in real life, you've actually moved forward and down. You've arced
Right.
Yeah, and so with this, with the 6 degrees stuff, he said that he's in Rage. He's in this stream bed, and he looks down, and then he leans down and gets on his knees, and he thinks that he's about ready to pick up some freaking pebbles,
Right.
because it just was so seamless. But again, that is a lot of that is latency. He wants to get this latency around 20 milliseconds, and part of that is in the graphics. But the biggest part, and the part that is the most problematic, is that of producers of other kind of TVs and stuff. Like he had these the Sony head-mounted display.
Yeah.
And they added 70 milliseconds of latency.
70?
Yeah, it was
70.
something insane. And so these TV guys do not, they have yet to really pay attention to the latency issues because, Gaikai and OnLive, they've done all this stuff to reduce latency, not only when they render the stuff on the servers, but to get it to you through the internet.
Sure.
And so they've got, 15 to 20 milliseconds in there, but then the TV guys, when you only have to go 3 stinking feet from the receiver to the television,
70
goes, adds another 70. It's a bad deal, and so that's one area that he's really hoping that a lot of these companies are going to pay attention to because they do all the post processing and all this other garbage, upsample, downsample, all in these TVs, and it's really slow. So,
Sweet.
yeah.
Were there any other topics that he discussed other than the VR? And
Well,
the
he's excited about Doom 3 because they put in a lot of ID Tech 5 in that. They ported it over to the consoles, which ID Tech 4 was not really able to do because of some of the hardware overhead.
I see. Gotcha.
He is really excited again about the higher hertz rates. You can play Doom 3 BFG edition at 120 hertz. And remember, Doom 3, it used to run at 60 hertz no matter what. Even if it just, part of the way that the game worked is it just had to be at 60 hertz. Well, they've doubled that. He says if you have one of these lower latency like from Asus 120 hertz monitors, that it's not quite night and day, but it feels so much more crisp, so much more real at these, and so that's something that he really wants to go into. Again, more of an apology to gamers is that it wants to make games faster. I mean, they've had 2 major titles this past decade in Doom 3 and
I would
Rage.
like a lot of people to make games faster, like Valve too.
Make games faster.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3, right? Yeah. Or
That
no,
was a
episode.
thing, that was a thing once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who the heck knows? So they're going to be trying to put out more stuff faster, and so this BFG edition is one of their first
Attempts at that process.
And
Okay.
it seems like they've done well because it's only been a year since they really started that, and they added a lot to it. Doom 4 is going to be coming out sometime. They're working on it, but he didn't want to give any details.
Oh wait, you forgot they added the flashlight mod into the.
Oh yeah, and
BFG
the
edition.
BFG edition. Well, I mean that's they did a whole lot of things with the lighting that was brought in through id Tech 5, and one of them is that you can have a persistent flashlight.
Nice. The duct tape.
Yeah, the duct tape mod,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not excited about Linux development so far yet.
This came up because of the recent Valve
Valve,
stuff.
yeah,
About
Valve. I
talking
mean,
about
everybody's
that
kind of
Windows 8
excited
was
about that.
The end of the world.
Yeah, and Carmack doesn't hold the same kind of negative opinion of Microsoft. He's not excited about Windows 8, but he appreciates what they do, and they've actually made some good products, and they had good engineering. And there were things he said about Windows 7 that absolutely surprised him. That there was certain functionality. I think it had to do with paging. I couldn't remember exactly, but it was like literally 100 times faster in Windows 7 than it was in Windows XP. And so when
He always talked about that in terms of console versus PC, was the number of API steps that there were involved between a developer, even like Carmack, and the hardware itself.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's part of what he's talking about
possibly, yeah,
in Windows 7
yeah.
there too. So,
But they've done some things. But again, he's not excited about Windows 8, but he's not giving it a hard time. And that's one thing that I think that literally he said nobody it is running Windows 8, and so that they better get on that. He's not excited about Linux, even though Valve is, and the reason for that is that it has a lot of experience with Linux. I mean, up until I believe Doom 3, they've had Linux ports, and it's just never paid the bills.
Yeah,
and so they kind of
sense.
stopped developing for that. And they're not going to pick it up anytime soon. They are going to start doing a lot more development for Mac. They do believe that Mac is at a point in terms of even just basic hardware that you can play games. I mean, it's the latest Sandy Bridge and Ivy Bridge Intel processors, and they've got certainly more than enough performance to do stuff decently.
right.
So that's positive for him. What else do we have here? They're going to stop mobile development. So all of their iOS
That's so
stuff.
weird to me because like 2 years ago,
He was so excited
that was
about it.
everything.
Yeah, that was like a key part of his last keynote. Like I even think almost last year, in fact, when they
Yeah,
mentioned
it might have been. It was just like
I think it just didn't catch
mobile's
on.
the future. I'm so amazed. It didn't catch on.
It didn't catch on for those types of games.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
more
because
fair.
they've
See
got
what I mean?
that Rage HD for
Yeah.
iOS and now
Yeah.
Android, and it's
Kim
99
tested it when it
cents.
first came out.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. It was cool and stuff, but it just
it's
it
not a
didn't-
good long form gaming experience.
No.
Is to sit there and play a 10-hour FPS game on your.
No,
on
it's
your
just not
iPhone.
practical.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do it. And so they're closing down the mobile version, mobile development, and it's not something that they're totally giving up on. But
I imagine they'd become like other developers and just kind of make that be.
maybe
Farm that out to other developers.
maybe
like
they'll
with
make
their time.
Doomville.
Doom
You
film.
can-
well, and he mentioned
Rage Tower.
yeah.
Rage Tower. Yeah.
well, he mentioned too that I mean they're trying to focus on getting the next title out.
Yeah.
Doom 4 is
And
the
they're still a
priority.
small
So
company. Right?
Yeah.
They're still a relatively small
That's
company.
true.
I know they're owned by a not small company now, but they are still a small company, and so I think that makes sense. I would much rather see Doom 4 in 2013 and have no iPad games than see
Then 2020.
2020 and have like 19 iPad games because
Yeah.
that's how. I think you could only make iPad games in blocks of 18 or something like that.
Another
That's part of
thing,
the license.
another thing he talked about was cloud gaming. He says that it will eventually become important, but he doesn't really foresee it being as big as a lot of these current guys with Gaikai and OnLive.
Yeah.
I mean they're putting in millions of dollars worth of infrastructure.
Yeah.
What Gaikai got bought up by Sony,
Mm-hmm.
and Carmack just says that from where he's standing, there's enough hurdles involved to get a good experience for the majority of people out there that it's still going to be many years down the line. Are going to have more, you're going to need more bandwidth, lower latency bandwidth.
Yeah.
You're going to need on these server farms, a whole lot more power, and especially when you consider what you have on the PC, that you can buy a PC for $700 and have a pretty kicking gaming system. And it's going to take a lot of muscle.
What are they doing over there?
I'm not
I
entirely
don't
sure
know.
what they're doing over there.
Wrong keyboard shortcut.
Wrong keyboard.
Wrong
shortcut.
keyboard
We're still on,
shortcut.
so that's good.
That's great.
It's like rotating a screen around. Over
Yeah,
there.
and so the
That's interesting. Like, that's good to hear that not everybody. I mean, because all the companies I've heard from so far that are like interested in cloud gaming are also those ones that are financially involved. Nvidia being those, Gaikai being one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So.
Speaking of which, that Gaikai beta I think is about to open for the smart TVs, for the Samsung smart TVs.
Right.
I've already got the controller. They sent me one. You're just waiting for the dang beta. to
I'm
officially open.
eager to see what you
Yeah, I would-
think about it and like what you like.
I would love for it
not
to actually work.
expecting it to be awesome. I think it'll work. Just
Yeah, I
like
think it'll be
OnLive
alright.
works.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
Don't think it's optimal for anything. So,
Yeah.
Steve, were you going to add anything else about from the keynote?
no, I think he got the most of the
anything
big
else?
developments yet.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The last two things, the latency we already talked about, and all the
Right.
VR, and he says, for VR, the one thing that people do not realize, sure, like the Sony, they had the glasses, and they said it's like looking at a 10-foot screen 6 feet away.
Right.
And he says, once you start figuring out, the degrees, it's only like, a 36-degree point of view. And
He wants more.
He
Right.
needs a lot more.
Yeah, he wants like
He wants,
wide screen, like wrap around.
90 degrees worth
Yeah.
of FOV. And if you ever try to play a game with a 36-degree FOV, it's pretty horrific.
You can do that if you go and load up Quake 3 and go to the console and type in FOV 36.
Yeah, you'll
true.
see
You
exactly
will see exactly what
what
it
it's
looks
like.
like to play a game. Because I used to go in and do like FOV 180.
Yeah.
That fisheye effect.
Yeah.
With everything. Okay. What else is going on here at QuakeCon? Well, obviously we've got our workshop. Steve, you've been the guy who's kind of been looking at the exhibitors and that kind of stuff. Any particular thing that stands out?
Well,
Obviously, we talked about the Oculus booth.
Yeah,
already.
Oculus booth was pretty nice. I mean, I just saw that come up today, and yesterday really there wasn't that many vendors kind of set up. So
Right.
really they're kind of going into full gear today. The Alienware booth is by far the biggest, and they normally have a good presence here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then it was nice to see Razer here as well. They're showing off a new keyboard and mouse, wireless gaming mouse they had available. And they're even doing a 2-hour loaning session for gamers who want to come by. They'll give them a couple of their products. I think they got to give up their driver's license or military
Right.
ID.
Well, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
But, I mean, at least they get to try these products before they
That's a
go
really
and
cool
purchase
idea,
them.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no cost involved, so they just get to bring them in the BYOC and check them out. And also, we went by, there's Cooler Masters here. They're another staple of QuakeCon. And we had even some educational institutions here. They had a Minecraft EDU. That's
Yeah.
right.
Actually, Notch is here.
Yeah,
Notch is here giving classes. I
awesome.
don't know in what exactly because I don't really play Minecraft. But
Probably something to do with
Yeah.
Minecraft.
And then it's
I'm
funny.
programming Java.
Yeah.
Then really another really big
just wanted to use the
booth.
branding. Yeah.
Another really big booth they had set up is for obviously Dishonored. Is the big
Yes.
title that they're going to
Yep.
talk about. And also they had the Doom 3 RPG edition. Just some demo systems set up in the back.
BFG edition.
Or, excuse me, BFG edition.
RPG edition would be awesome, though.
My bad. But no, and the funny part was they didn't allow people to take photos. It was kind of just like a cleared, clean cut demo. They didn't
Yeah.
want any kind of, just here to play
Did you
it.
play it yet?
I didn't get a chance yet. No, I
I'm
haven't
gonna do
come
that
back.
today.
Yeah.
When we're done here, I definitely I liked all the videos and listened to a lot of gaming podcasts where they talked about it. So I definitely want to give that a shot.
Mhm.
And also, of course, at the PC Perspective booth,
Mm-hmm.
we have MSI and NVIDIA, not PC Perspective people. But their demo, I think NVIDIA set up their 3+1
3+1.
configuration. MSI has some of their gaming laptops. It's something they're definitely trying to push. And actually, one of the things, you've walked around the BYOC a little bit. Have you seen a lot of laptops in use this year?
Absolutely.
More
And
than previous years?
definitely. In fact, a lot of them, majority were Alienware based.
Okay.
I saw a couple of Razer Blades.
Big ones, small ones? Like, we talking like M11X or
Uh,
like M17X?
17X.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
17X,
Alright.
and even some people, like I said, brought their 27-inch, LCDs with them.
Right.
Yep. So, and that was pretty popular. But like you said, and I wasn't seeing as many case mods this year. I thought that was a big difference from previous years. And maybe it's just because vendors are actually making cases now that have all those features, and they're
They've got Windows on them. They've got cable
Yeah.
routing. They
Yeah,
look
great.
a little bit better.
Absolutely, yeah. Because when modding first started, I mean, it was just beige cases that really had no functionality. You had to add functionality to it, and your own originality to
Right.
get what you want. So overall, though, I mean, it's all maxed out. We didn't mention that. This was one of the first years since what, 10 years?
I think somebody said 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years that they've actually maxed out the BYOC, over 2,800 gamers. There's
That's
even
awesome.
people. That's right. There's people waiting in line right now, just kind of waiting for a
Yeah,
spot.
there's still a line right now.
That's
There's
right.
still a line, and that line is for, I guess, if you reserved a spot, you have until sometime today to show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Till
7 o'clock. That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems awfully late. But if you don't show up today, I guess that's time for people to get off work. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can
Over.
game of the weekend. Yeah.
So if you don't show up, you lose your spot, and the people that are waiting.
Yep.
But I mean, the hall was basically almost full yesterday.
Yeah.
And when they were turning people away, I mean, there was people started pulling out knives, and everybody was doing this around knife people, and the guy telling them that they had to go. It was horrific.
Hopefully
Yeah,
we
I-
got that on video.
Well, I don't think they
Of course.
explain that well to some people with the premium packages, and online.
Yeah.
I'm not, even I didn't understand because I wasn't even going to come here because
Right.
of laser eye surgery. But since I was able to make it,
Laser surgery.
that's right. Yeah, it's nice that I can see now without glasses. It's awesome. No, but it was neat. Like I said, people were trying to hang in there, trying to get a spot for the weekend. So hopefully they'll get in there.
Cool. Obviously, we've got our workshop coming up tomorrow. Big thanks to our 3 key sponsors for this, NVIDIA, MSI, and Corsair, ponying up the dough for us to actually have the space and have the time and do all that kind of stuff. And then all the stuff behind us If we look over at the other camera, boom, unfortunately, it still has us, guys. You'll see cases and keyboards and USB drives and motherboards and SSDs and graphics cards and a lot of random stuff.
SSDs and
Headsets. We've got I guess the grand prize raffle will have to be the 690.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We do have an EVGA 690 here. That will kind of be like the congratulations, you win.
You win a grand.
You win the everything. 6 or 7 680s, and then some 480s.
And then over on the other corner of the room,
we don't really have a shot of it. Here, hand me that. Yeah.
there's 100 of those.
So with this is an AMD 3870
K
unlocked APU, Llano-based APU, but AMD sent us 100 of these.
Yep.
Which, based on current market value,
it's about $12,000.
$12,000 processor. So, big props to them as well for donating that.
We'll be throwing those into the
We'll
crowd
be
tomorrow.
chucking these straight at people's heads. Just the worst.
It's got sharp corners. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it kind of does. We could just take the processors out and throw those.
That's even better.
Yeah.
If the prize will be if you get one with pins that aren't bent.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks that's a good idea.
Fantastic.
All right. Other than that, I don't know. We don't have anything specific going on. We'll have a demonstration from MSI and a demonstration from NVIDIA tomorrow as well. Are there any other keynotes, sessions, discussions that are coming up that we're interested in?
Well, they're definitely doing the virtual
the
insanity.
VR.
That's basically they're going to bring in a few experts
Carmack
with Carmack.
comes in and talks about VR again.
Yeah, with
Yes.
Oculus as well.
Again.
So with the Oculus guys though.
Yeah, and like I said, they're really going to go through it in depth. I mean, this, during the keynote, he actually went really in depth, according
Right.
to his standards. But now they'll actually have the unit in front of them. They'll be able to show the audience. They'll be able to kind of go through some.
I'll be
of the
curious to
features.
see how they try to demonstrate that to a crowd of 1,000 people or whatever it's going to
They'll
be.
just have it up on the screen.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, if they'll just
Now
point
cover
it
it.
out to the
Now
screen.
have your left eye only look at this screen, and your right eye only look at this.
Put your hand between your eyes like this.
Yeah, and do like that, and then lean forward when we tell you to.
Yeah,
And it'll
go
be just
cross-eyed.
like look up when we tell you to. It'll be just like it. I don't think that'll work.
Yeah.
It is VR. You can do anything in VR.
So that's pretty much it, and then obviously the finals, tournaments, that kind of stuff. I think if you go to QuakeCon.org, they're live streaming all of these panels.
Yes.
Yep.
As well. So if you go to QuakeCon.org, look at the schedule and see when the virtual insanity, is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, I think it's Virtual Insanity at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Central.
Central.
So 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. You can go to QuakeCon.org. They had like 4,500 people watching the Carmack keynote, at least at the beginning. I don't know how many were still there 4 hours later.
Similar to what we saw in the room.
Yeah, it did kind of dwindle.
It was like a weakest link episode.
Yeah. I mean, we ran out of memory card space. We were recording
Yeah, we
it all on
couldn't.
video, and a 32 gig SD card filled up. That's probably too much. Probably too much. God bless his.
Josh
Lot of
Josh
information.
won. Josh won. He
Josh
was in
did
there.
win. He
I'm the
was in
winner.
there the whole time.
He was in there for the whole thing. Yes.
Almost.
Why are you just staring at the chat room because they're talking about you?
I am. They're talking about me.
Say looks mad.
Angry.
What
Angry
else?
guy.
What else in the hardware world happened? None of my pages are loading.
There's a non-Quake related thing that's quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
That,
Non-QuakeCon related thing.
we had someone, it's sort of a rumor starting that the Western Digital Red drives didn't support time-limited error recovery, which is pretty much the main.
I was gonna say, isn't that like the whole point?
That's like the whole point of the red drives. So
Okay,
we
alright.
saw it and we weren't sure if it was a rumor or not. And I went ahead and just asked Western Digital real quick and got the answer from them, which is no. It actually yes, they have TLER. That's what they're supposed to do. It's like the main feature, so it's in there. I guess somebody asked like Western Digital support, and they must have just got somebody that maybe didn't know the real answer or something. And they got some-
TLER stands for Too Long Everyone Read.
I guess. I don't know. But some bum gouge got passed somewhere along the line, so we're trying to squash the rumor before it gets out of hand.
Gigabyte had a video where they claimed that their motherboard could handle 2,000 watts
Awesome. There's some bum gouge.
through the power, right? So they hooked up like 3 different power supplies and they pushed 637 amps
Did they actually
through
did
the
it?
CPU socket. Yeah,
Through the
at
C-
2.4 volts for a total of about 2,000 watts.
So it was able to regulate.
Yeah. That's the thing. They're showing here's our power phase technology, and that's as much as, what did they say, 170
That's insane.
3770K processors. I'm just making that number up. I don't really remember.
Is it like 24 phase, whatever, or something?
32 phase.
The MOSFETs were glowing red.
They must have been, yeah. That's
The solder was just swimming on the board.
the MOSFETs were just floating around.
Hey, liquid metal transfers electricity.
Much
too.
better.
It's true, yeah.
We also saw Thermaltake announced the what do they call it?
Do we have one? Whatever it is.
No, it's Black Element Cyclone Edition mouse. This is a mouse that has a fan
Oh.
on the front of it. So like,
cool. It keeps your hand
when
cool.
when you're holding the mouse like this, there's a fan that comes out the side and actually points at your hand. So
I think
your hand
Inspector
cool.
Gadget designed this one.
it's
and
perfect
yeah.
for LAN parties, right? People get. I mean,
That's
Hot
true.
fingers.
how many of these people out here have sweaty hands while they're sitting there gaming for five? Don't touch me. For 5 hours at a time, right? So the idea is actually really cool.
That wasn't sweat.
Oh, it's actually a really neat idea, but
Yeah, I don't know.
how dumb do you look with the fan sticking out the front of your mouse as you move around?
Have we seen it? Do we got a picture? I mean,
Yeah,
is
there's
it-
a picture, but my internet is
No.
not cooperating. Let me see if it opens up. Oh, actually, it is going to open up.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. What else?
So it's yeah. Here we go. There it is with the fan.
That looks like
They say it's not loud.
well.
21 decibels, 21.7 decibels.
Okay, but it still looks kind of.
Well, they had the same thing on their esports keyboard. Remember we went to CES.
That's right.
a
They
couple
did
years
have like
back.
the tiny little fan at the
Okay,
top
listen.
of it.
Yeah.
Somebody, wait. Let me just cut all this off right here.
Somebody's going to get their tongue cut. In
No,
that.
not just that. Okay, somebody so serious about gaming that they need a fan cooling off their hand is not going to have that fan attached to the mouse to add weight to it.
Yeah, but I'm not serious about gaming. But I also have sweaty palms. Now what?
Then you and Josh need to get a room
And get a fan with a mouse.
and get a fan with a mouse or
Or the
something.
other way
I don't
around.
know.
Yeah. The other maybe interesting news item: Seagate's just the continuing kind of discussion about OCZ and Seagate buying an SSD manufacturer. This is kind of interesting. Seagate CFO Pat O'Malley, think he's Irish.
No.
Okay. Says where are his exact quote here?
First of all, this is mainly for enterprise stuff. This is not like so that they can.
well, we don't know that for sure.
Well, I don't know. They already make a halfway decent hybrid drive.
Yeah, but they don't have any
But they don't sell any
SSDs.
SSDs.
Remember their Blue Series SSDs that lasted for about 7
was
months?
Western
That was
Digital.
Western Digital.
Oh,
Seagate
okay, you're
never
right.
actually
You're
did
right.
it.
Yeah,
They never-
Seagate has not made their own, but
So
Well,
do
they've
they want to enter the consumer SSD market? That's the question.
I don't know.
Obviously, they make a comment specifically about. I think he said we look at technology product providers, but what I would say is that on the enterprise SSDs, there's probably only one of them that really makes any significant money. So he says that he didn't mention the company name. Is he talking about OCZ or is he talking about Fusion IO? Because who makes money?
From
I
what
know
I've
they
seen,
both want to make
From what
money.
I've seen OCZ stock do and how it's completely out of phase with their product announcements, I don't know.
So the OCZ stock is up a lot because of this, because people think that Seagate wants to buy OCZ.
Are you sure it's not just, Ryan Peterson
Well, I'm
out
sure.
on Twitter?
Well,
with the-
I'm sure he's not hurting it, right?
Yeah, Seagate, thinking about buying us. Yeah.
And
Hey, stock price.
Hey, listen, I can't even get him to tell me anything about that, so yeah, he's not leaking anything.
it just it makes sense to me for Seagate to buy somebody like this.
True, and then what was the comment we had about Fusion?
Fusion IO, right?
Right.
So Fusion IO I think would be another perfect fit for this. If
It's
you look
true.
only at enterprise. If
It's
you look
true,
only at enterprise.
but here's the thing: when you talk about Fusion specifically in enterprise, the way that the Fusion IO products work,
don't tell me it doesn't boot, because I know that already.
No, I'm not worried about that. For enterprise, you don't care if it boots or not. The issue is that the card itself doesn't really have a lot of the intelligence in the hardware. Most of the intelligence for that stuff, all
Software.
the flash management is all software,
Okay.
and it puts all the load on the server.
Okay.
So, you take an OCZ R8 and you hit it with as many IOs per second as you possibly can, and you end up trying to match the same with like a Fusion product, and the R8
Could win, but it depends on what platform you're on.
No, I mean, if both of them were pushing the same IOs per second, the Fusion, whatever the Fusion IO device may be that you're trying to use, that CPU is going to be much higher CPU
I
usage
see. on
on that system compared to, any of the OCZ products, right? Because OCZ does that superscalar processor. It's basically like a RAID. The RAID is all on like the card side of it,
Right.
Whereas for Fusion, all the management, everything is all on the driver. It forces the OS to have to handle it. So, I don't know. It's sort of like, It's like a 6 in one, half a dozen in the other sort of thing. Which one do you want to be handling the load where?
All right. So we don't know.
It's a tough call, really.
I think of the SSD vendors out there, OCZ is the only one that is acquirable in terms of. I mean, they've obviously focused on solid state technology solely. Now they still sell memory sometimes. They still sell power supplies.
And they don't only have those cards. They have like what was it at CES? They announced they had virtualization technology so that they can use those same products.
They are trying desperately to make themselves the enterprise player. So.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are.
Steve, you need to leave?
No.
You need to head out?
No. I do have a panel at 4, but it's fine.
Okay. Well, I think we're about wrapping up anyway. Because
we're wrapping.
We don't have any other topics to really touch on. Do you guys have any other ideas?
Nada.
No.
That's awesome. Wow, you guys are great at this.
I've done a podcast before.
You did do a podcast.
Yeah.
Or 2,000.
Maybe.
200.
Yeah.
212 to be exact.
I cannot think of anything else that's really been going on in the industry.
The thing is, for me, all week it has been solely about
QuakeCon,
getting all this organized and all that kind of stuff. So we're here. We're mostly organized. We have T-shirts. We have.
We got
this.
Well,
in reality,
I do have one
us
more.
recording this podcast here is mostly to make sure our equipment works for tomorrow's workshop as well. So and it seems to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Except for all of us.
the intern's well oiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
as
one
always.
thing we forgot to mention was partnering with Modders Inc. and they're helping us out with the case mod
yeah.
contest.
So
Oh, yeah.
during, we're not actually doing the judging of the case mod contest, but there is still a case mod contest going on at QuakeCon. The Modders Inc. guys are responsible for managing all of that and doing the judging and having the submissions and all that kind of stuff. But we're still going to show off the finalists or the winners. I don't know how it's.
Yeah, we're still going to do the same thing we've done in
Same thing
previous
we've done
years.
at the workshop, right? So we'll bring them up on stage, or if you have a giant one, we'll leave you on the floor and have you just kind of describe that, and we'll give you your hardware there, I assume. So we'll still definitely be doing that. And props to them for they've got a booth out there as well.
Yeah, they stepped up really well. Yeah,
they did good.
Yeah, and they normally do come to these events, and they've wanted to participate with us. We've always had the manning to do it, and but then I'm glad you brought them in this year to get us help out.
Yeah, it
takes a load off.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Oh well. So I guess that'll be it. We'll be back tomorrow. If you're watching this live, if you're listening to the podcast, you've downloaded it. Make sure you tune in to pcper.com/workshop. It may actually redirect you to pcper.com/live tomorrow, but the workshop will be at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon p.m. Pacific time. That's a thing, right?
Noon p.m.
Noon p.m. Nice.
What are you cutting out? Mountain time again?
Nobody lives there.
Nah.
Nobody. There. Yeah. So that'll be it. We will. I guess we'll round everything out. We'll see you next week, guys. I'm Ryan Trout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And I'm Steve Griever.
See you guys.